This is Spotlight Omaha. Spotlight Omaha is a local podcast that highlights local businesses and influential movers and shakers in the Omaha business community. Spotlight Omaha is brought to you by Pixel Fire Marketing. Now, from the Pyramid Contractor Studios, the host of Spotlight Omaha, Jimmy Allen.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome inside the Spotlight Omaha podcast, where we take you around the city of Omaha, introduce you to local business owners, influential figures, and people who are making an impact on our community. We are brought to you by Pixel Fire Marketing. If you're a business owner and you're not showing up at the top of Google searches, or maybe you have an outdated website that's not grabbing your ideal client's attention, check out pixelfiremarketing.com for more details. Joining us inside the Pyramid Contractor Studio today is Anthony Bruckner with Anthony's Automotive and Detailing. Anthony, thanks for being here, man. I appreciate it.
Hey, appreciate it. Thank you very much.
What are you guys doing at Anthony's Detailing, and how is it benefiting the vehicles around the Omaha area?
Yeah. So kind of what we're up to right now is we take a much next level approach as far as automotive detailing, and detailing is a very broad term and word used for kind of taking care and preserving the life of a vehicle. And the way we kind of go to the next level is kind of by the services we offer and some of the tools and stuff that we use inside the shop as well. For instance, right now we're working on a vehicle that got painted in 2008. And we're going through and we're removing certain layers and different depths of each kind of part of the car of the clear coat, just to enhance the shine as much as possible, instead of him having to go get a full repaint and get everything repainted and resurfaced. We can just go through and bring the paint all the way back to life.
Restoration.
Yes.
Okay.
So we're able to bring the paint much more back to life and keep him from having to spend that money and wait for months on end for the car to come back. So that's a lot of the kind of stuff we do.
Your story is an interesting one to me. And I think one of the fun conversations that has been happening in this room a lot is the conversation about trade versus college, traditional education versus starting a business when you're younger. You start this business when you're 16 years old. When did you realize this isn't just a way to make some extra money on the cash? This is on the side. This is what I want to do for the rest of my life.
Yeah, so it was very, very interesting. In high school, I went through the DECA programs. It's extended form of marketing that you can get into, and I ended up making it to nationals for business growth and development. So you had to own the business, had to be all under your name. And kind of when all that was going on, I made it to the nationals trip. And then I really believed in myself because I wasn't able to afford that trip. So they had a fundraiser, which we sold like canned peanuts with like all the colleges, basketball, like any football team you can think of.
Yeah.
So I sold enough peanuts to get me round trip both ways. And
wow,
kind of at that moment, it was like, holy cow, it really doesn't matter the business. I fully believe in the skills and the salesmanship and what we can do with this. That's kind of when it all fell into place without worrying about college. And that was my senior year.
Is there anything that you learned through the DECA program? Because that's honestly the first time that's been brought up. And this is almost episode number 200, but I know a ton of people that went through it that have gone on to be really successful business people. What did you learn from that experience that you've been able to take? Anthony's?
So the really notable things that I really like about it is just the space and area you have for a developmental mindset. So business is great. They got over, I want to say 50 to 100 different categories of business that you can go into and do all these other things with. I just really, really like that. It lets you think freely. Anything you can come up with, any categorization you can get into, they have all of that. So it really lets you see a whole bunch of different scenarios and stuff like that. And then obviously the trips are amazing and a really, really great time to get out and think.
We obviously got to do this podcast because you're looking for podcasts to do and maybe get the word out there about your business and what you're doing. I have to ask, is that because it's colder outside and things slow down in the winter months?
No, so we're actually busier. We can't schedule a large job until March 15th. So we're
so busy.
Yep. Okay. So we have plentiful amount of business.
That's awesome.
The main thing of kind of coming out on the podcasts and doing more speaking is kind of to grow the skills of speaking.
Sure.
And then the other thing as well is just getting people aware of kind of this level of car scene and the quality that Omaha has got a good one. It's unreal, super unreal.
I want to ask you before we get into that, because I got questions about the ice cream cruise and a bunch of other events that go on in Omaha. But the winter months, the salts that hit the ground. I mean,
Yes.
nobody's out driving a 58 Chevelle and
No doubt.
right now, right?
Yes.
But, there is some of that salt and residue sticks around to the warmer months and ends up on the bottom of cars. Are you guys seeing that as a a constant issue with older and newer vehicles?
So luckily, you know, most of those classification of cars either don't move at all during winter time, and or most of those owners either have or have access to enclosed trailers, or not even if it's enclosed, just trailers period, so you're not building up that salt brine on these on these undercarriages. So a lot of the work that we're dealing with right now is kind of like a week, 2 week long projects that take a long time, and we just shove our shop full of cars, and then when the weather gets real nasty, we're able not to worry about cars coming and going or any of those time frames.
Is there any type of vehicle you don't work on?
Yeah, so there's not really nothing we don't really work on. We do standard detailing. We work on everyday vehicles. That's not something that's really marketed though, however. But if someone does inquire about that, definitely we'll give them a great
about like
service.
Commercial vehicles, semis?
Yep. So a lot of commercial vehicles, we won't do much work on. Fleet vehicles, given the right aspects, we can work on those.
Can I ask why you guys choose to go that direction?
Yep. So our building in our business is not really set up for like quick turn and burn projects.
Gotcha.
So we don't want to offer a service that we can't really live all the way up to for our brand and our image. We like to really make sure we get the best and the most correct service for these vehicles possible.
I gotta ask, as the business owner, you started this off when you were 16. Is it tough for you to turn people away if somebody comes to you and says, hey, I've got this fleet, I've got these semis, I've got these projects that you can't or don't have the capacity to work on? Is it tough for you to tell those people no?
Every now and then it's tough, but kind of at the end of the day, I just remember what our statements are for and what we're working towards. And the amazing thing is we've built amazing relationships with other companies as well. So, you know, if they have a need that, you know, we might not be able to serve, we have plentiful amount of people that we can recommend the right company for them in that aspect.
Man, that is incredible. It is mind-blowing to me how many people continue to tell me that. And my mindset when I started doing this podcast was it's business. It's dog eat dog. It's cutthroat. It's everybody's got to race to the top, and there's no scraps for anybody else, right?
Yeah.
And every single person that comes in here says, I've got a person that does exactly what we do, just something I don't want to handle, or they do better than we do, and I have no problem handing it off.
Exactly.
Is it weird to you as a business owner at 24 that that's the way business is done in Omaha?
No, and the reason why I say no is because, you know, Omaha, it's like this very small, tight-knit community of people, and like my only purpose is to serve the vehicle. Now, we work for people, we take care of people, but what that vehicle needs is what we're gonna do for that vehicle. So if
why were cars the right calling for you? Why are you so passionate about cars?
Yeah, so I think it just kind of has to do with, you know, my mother worked at Midas. She was a front desk clerk at Midas for a long time when I was a young kid. And, you know, you watch West Coast Customs, Pimp My Ride, all those cool car shows, and they just really attracted me into the automotive industry of what it could be.
I saw the 58 Bonneville that you guys just worked on recently on the Facebook page in the shop. Yeah. What's the most unique vehicle you've ever worked on?
Man, we get a lot of really unique vehicles, whether, you know, they're really, really custom high-end built cars and or just some weird quirky cars. You know, one of my favorite really, really high-end build was a 34 Ford. It had unreal chrome work on the undercarriage, everything like that.
Still in pretty good shape?
Oh, on real shape. This car got finished being built maybe 2-3 years ago, and they only put maybe 5 miles on it just of test miles.
Right, yeah.
So that
it does turn on.
It does. Yep. It does keep the coolant in and nothing leaks, stuff like that. But that's really, really a notable car for me. And then just really fun, quirky cars. Like we get a few cars that got shipped over from Japan, like the little Honda Beats and
sure.
Stuff like that. So you get to just see kind of just wacky everything.
We're catching up with Anthony Bruckner of Anthony's Automotive and Detailing here on the Spotlight Omaha podcast, brought to you by Pixel Fire Marketing and Pyramid Contractors. 8 years into this business, what does growth since the pandemic look like? And what does growth in the next 2 to 3 years look like for you guys?
Yeah, so in the pandemic, that was like our most available time to grow, because obviously there wasn't really anything to do. All you could do was either be at home or be at work. So I chose to be at work, and that's when we started to learn the skill set of proper paint maintenance, proper paint care, and then kind of resolving the paint issues that people have. So growth kind of happened really, really fast getting into the right doors. And then kind of for the next couple of years, it's just super exciting because now we're in even bigger buildings, even bigger car collections, and getting to know just some of the wickedest people in Omaha that kind of made Omaha, Omaha.
Sure.
Yeah.
And this is a great car town. There's a
Mhm.
ton of events that happen here. We talked about the ice cream cruise a minute
Yeah.
ago. World of Wheels is coming to town the next few months. The Shriners do
Yeah.
their quarterly car events as well. How do those
Mhm.
events benefit your business?
Yeah, so we just love going down there, hanging out. We bring a lot of customers everywhere we go. The World of Wheels, for instance, we got about 25 cars going down there. So we just have a lot of great people that are always around, and we just love conversating and
When you
just
say we, is that the
Mhm.
shop? Is that people that have come into the shop, or you
Yep.
just
So we is me and the gang, me and the guys that work in the shop.
okay?
So I always refer to the company as we because
Sure.
there's a
I
lot
didn't know if
more.
you were in a car club or something like that.
Nope. Yeah. So we just kind of built this brand and image of car community-esque that
Sure.
anyone who gets the service through us or works with us, they're a part of the culture. They're a part of the
That's
we.
fantastic.
Yes.
Is there a Super Bowl of car detailing? If there's a hey, if we're able to showcase a vehicle at this event, we've made it
Yeah.
moment that you guys haven't accomplished yet?
There's a lot of really big ones, you know. I mean, the biggest automotive thing ever in the country is obviously SEMA. It's the biggest trade show for automobiles in America. That's a
where's that
really cool
located?
event. That's in Las Vegas, and
Okay.
that happens in the November era.
Feels like everything's in Vegas now.
Exactly. But we've had cars go to very prestigious events like Pomona, California for national roadster shows. We've won events, first place at national events with cars we've worked on. So, I mean, there's just so many large events, and it just kind of relevates on what kind of car you like and what classifications you enjoy.
Sure.
That kind of makes your Super Bowl car show.
What's
So,
what's your favorite classification? You can
right,
work on one vehicle forever.
yes.
What would it be?
Right now, my favorites are 1930 to 34 Roadsters.
Because
Just the way the fenders are, the way the cars are made, and
Sure.
that's kind of what initiated hot rodding
Right.
in America is that style of car. It's the big one.
I want to ask about that because when your job is essentially to make what is old new again, and
Mhm.
restoration is your passion. Can you enjoy drag racing and things that like put
Mhm.
hard times on a vehicle? Do you
Yeah.
appreciate stuff like that?
Oh,
or-
I love them. I
Okay,
love 'em.
gotcha.
I always believe you can show a race car, but you can never race a show
I
car.
agree.
So if you got something that goes wicked fast, I'm all about it. Love it, love it, love it.
Do you guys work on any kind of like Indy cars or race cars or stock cars or things like that?
Yeah, so we actually are. It's quite funny. We're working on a 61 Indy car. It's not a real Indy car authentic, but it was built out of Iowa or
Built to look like one?
built out of Lincoln.
Okay.
Yeah, replication of an Indianapolis 500 winning car. So
Wow, very cool.
really, really neat car. And then we're working on a couple other people that do stock car racing and dirt track racing and stuff like that. So we're kind of a little bit everywhere, but our main jazz is definitely the show.
I think the 10,000-foot view would tell us show cars, stock cars, two completely different groups of people. Is that the case, or is
Very different.
Okay.
Very, very different.
Why is that?
I noticed a lot with the show cars. A lot of these people are just putting wicked and ridiculous amounts of money into these cars.
Yeah.
And, you know, when you got like $38,000 billet aluminum custom made wheels, you're not really going to do much with
Sure,
that.
yeah.
Well, you know, a stock car, you could build the whole car for 38,000 and
Sure,
have a
probably a little
wicked
less,
time
yeah.
with it. Yes, have a wicked time. So it really just depends on, you know, if you enjoy being slowed down a little bit and just kind of enjoying what a car has to offer relative to really making it for speed purposes.
Where does that mean there's the room for growth over the next couple of years for
Mhm.
Anthony's Automotive and Detailing? Like, if you could expand in one area, where do you think that would be?
Yeah, so our biggest expansion right now is really looking at the services we offer. So we offer, you know, high class detailing services, but
Yeah.
kind of after that, it comes into like the paint protection film world, the vinyl and wraps world, the tinting world, and even kind of going into the customization of a vehicle of, if you have a brand new vehicle, how can we make it our own? So like adding all those little accessories, bells and whistles. So instead of kind of broadening how much detailing can we do, it's how much of the car can we serve and offer to protect as well.
Think about a vehicle like a Jeep or a Bronco where there's
Mhm.
accessories and things can come off and be added and things like that.
Yeah.
Does that make your job more difficult when it's a vehicle like that that's a little more customized?
Not too much, not too much. The only thing that kind of changes is just some of the preliminary things we have to do, whether it is, removing something. And at the end of the day, it's all just kind of hours. We're
Sure.
very knowledgeable staff of people, so there's not really anything that's too tricky for us to mess with. It's just getting the acclimated amount of hours to do these kind of type
Sure.
of projects.
That's an interesting point. Walk me through the process. I'm coming into Anthony's Automotive and
Mhm.
Detailing for the first time.
Yeah.
I've got a show car that I need a little bit of
Mhm.
renovation done to. What does that process look like?
Yeah, so it's actually amazing. If you have a show car, normally you're going to give us a phone call, unless if you love walking into a place brand new. We love that. But most of these people that we're seeing, they're giving us a phone call. We're showing up to their facilities, taking a look at their cars so they don't have to put the miles on it. And then we'll kind of check the vehicle out, see what's going on, maybe do some test spots if we need to.
Mhm.
And then after that, we'll work up the quote, send it all over to you same day, if not next day. And then after that, we'll work on scheduling, all those other things, and how long we need the car for, and things like that. So it's a very, very smooth process where you don't even need to bring the car to us initially.
Yeah, how much of the work is being done out of your shop versus in your shop?
Yeah, so I'd probably say about 78 to 85% of the work is all in shop, and all those little percentages that are out there is kind of working with some of the builders at their shops and kind of maintaining the cars that we do super big jobs for at their facilities. But majority, if not everything, first go around is going to be in our facility to get it to that level.
What's the furthest you're willing to travel
hmm
for a vehicle?
Yeah, so we've been to Florida, we've been to
Wow. Okay.
Kansas City, and we've been to Arizona for cars. So travel is no problem. If you got a car anywhere, we'll have no problem getting to it.
What is the one vehicle that's eluded you that you'd love to work on before you eventually retire to a beach in the
Man,
Bahamas?
that's a tricky one. That's a tricky one because we've worked on such a variety of cars. You name a classic car, we've probably worked on it. But as far as the holy grail goes, is the dream car, the Pagani Zonda.
Because
It's the dream car, my poster car as a child, and
sure.
they're valued at somewhere around north of 3 to 4 million, and
Okay.
you just won't find one in Omaha. There might be one, but we have troubles finding it.
I have to ask. I'm impressed. You're 24. You started
Mhm.
this business when you're 16. You're talking about all the places you've been, all the vehicles you've worked on.
Mhm.
You've clearly put a tremendous amount of time and effort into this business. And you clearly love it.
Yeah.
Are you surprised with the success that you've had at 24, or did you see this coming?
I definitely saw this coming. I'm actually below some of the goals I made at 18, 19 as a young
Sure.
gun, but all of the goals I made back then were really strictly all financial.
Mm.
You can't think of the
That's why we
places
do
you
it,
can
right?
go
Yeah.
exactly. So financially, some of those goals are not there yet, but we can look past all that because we have amazing people, amazing connections. I wouldn't think I'd be in the facility I am in now.
Sure.
So
And where are
I'm
you guys located at?
102nd and J Street, so
Okay.
just one block north of L.
Yep.
Real nice off the highway, easy to get to.
They do Jeep Week over there sometimes. And,
I think
yeah,
so.
yeah,
Yeah, they
yeah.
do that just a little bit more east of us,
Okay.
at another building. But yeah, they got the Jeep Week, all that good jazz going on.
We're catching up with Anthony Bruckner of Anthony's. Sorry, with want to make sure you're right. Anthony's Automotive and Detailing, almost a detailing and automotive and detailing. Here on the Spotlight Omaha podcast, brought to you by Pixel Fire Marketing and Pyramid Contractors. If we talk about the goals that you set that you haven't hit yet, how much has your end goal changed since the first day you started doing this?
It changed completely. When I first started, even got my first shop in 2020, I didn't even realize the level the service can even get to, and the quality that some of these people are after. So that's forever changing. And if some of the goals we had in 2020, they don't even exist anymore because the way the business is now set up and structured is just a whole different business, the way it pivots and changes and moves.
What are some of the biggest hurdles facing your industry right now, and how are you guys overcoming those?
Yeah, so some of the biggest ones I'd reckon is definitely the financial side of things. To get stuff done is not going to be cheap for some people.
Sure.
And it's coming around
Do
figuring out
most
the
people understand that when they walk in the door?
majority of them.
Okay.
Yes, yes. There's always going to be someone who could do the job for cheaper. So for some services, we kind of have to battle that, and then some of our specialized services, it is just creating the right value aspect of it. Of are you going to spend a whole deal of money on a repaint, or are you going to get it done and
Separately.
avoid that
Yeah.
cost? Yeah.
The one thing that most people say when I ask, "What's one thing you know that you didn't know when you started?" They say that I should have charged more. Is that something you kind of struggled with you starting as well?
Yeah, but that was part of the strategy,
Sure.
honestly.
It's
So
most people's, yeah.
yeah, so in 2020, when we really got into the paint work of things and dealing in a different kind of business than just detailing, it was okay. Well, we're new to this. We still need to learn it all the way. Let's just learn it first. So I would just do cars before I even had any employment, literally just to get by, pay the bills. Not even I don't care if I make $1 off this car.
Mhm.
I just want the skills available, so when the time does come, then we can charge the adequate amount.
Sure.
So
The hiring aspect is always an interesting discussion.
yeah,
Your name's on the front of this thing. It says
correct.
Anthony's on the door. How difficult was it for you? You mentioned we have a team. It's we, it's not me anymore.
Mhm.
How difficult was that for you at the onset to bring somebody in, put your name on their t-shirt and trust them to go do the work that you just said, "Hey, listen, I
Yeah.
didn't want to make $1. I just wanted to get the skills."
Yeah, so it was quite tricky, your first few hires really teach you a lot about the business and
That's
the
true.
problems with it.
Yeah.
And then you just kind of make corrections, make adjustments, know what to look out for, and it's really just a time-based thing. You can't tell if you're sitting on a rock star or someone who wants to be under a rock. You
I love that
just got to
phrase.
figure it out, see what happens, and be quick to make change.
You mentioned there are other options in Omaha. Omaha's a big car town, like we talked
Hmm.
about. How does Anthony stand out and is different from everybody else?
Yeah, so we're just a very, very specialized shop, and we're the only ones in town that offer high level wet sanding paired with all of the films and all of the coatings that we have to offer as well with these vehicles. So a lot of people do these services, but there's a very, very, very finite amount of people that can do them to the level that we're at.
If you weren't doing cars, what would you be doing?
Something with cars, it wouldn't
Let's
change.
take it off the table. You can't, cars don't
Yes.
exist. We have spaceships.
Yeah.
What else would you be doing?
I'd be in a relation style of business,
Okay.
whether that's selling housing or finances or
Sure.
something like that. I just love being person to person. That's my favorite part about this industry, is being able to work up front and close with some of these people and having the conversations.
You mentioned a lot of these vehicles you're working on aren't cheap. The
Mm-hmm.
work that's being asked to be done isn't cheap.
Mm-hmm.
How big of a deal is it for you to have that conversation with somebody and them to entrust this big type of investment with you?
Yeah, so a lot of it really comes with the brand.
Mhm.
Majority of our people, we don't spend much money on marketing really at all.
Mhm.
So a lot of these people with these really, really high level cars are seeking the people.
They've done the research.
Yes, they've done the research. They've asked their builder, their painter, their whoever's working on the car, who is the right guy to take care of my vehicle. And we're lucky to be in those doors that we're the name getting put out there. So when they come in and see the young gun and see all this other stuff going on, they're just kind of instantly sold because of who told them to go there.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
You've been at it for 8 years. You've been to Florida, you've been to California, and everywhere in between.
Mm-hmm.
You've done a really good job of building this brand. You've got a trust with the community. How difficult is it for you at the end of the night when the shop door closes to put your phone down and step away from business?
Impossible. Since 2020, I've been doing 100-hour weeks,
Sure.
if not 180, 80 to 100, and it's just one of those addiction things
Sure.
that it just isn't gone yet.
It's crazy how when you're working a 9 to 5 for somebody else, 40 hours can seem like a lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
But when it's your thing and you're the visionary for it, it almost feels like it never stops and you don't stop enjoying it, right?
Yeah, and I don't really enjoy going out or doing nothing too crazy. This is
Sure.
just my little addiction I'm allowing myself to endure right now.
It's great, man. Listen, we've covered a lot. Is there anything about Anthony's Automotive Detail that we haven't mentioned that people should know about?
Nothing too crazy. No,
Okay.
yeah.
We mentioned where the shop is. You mentioned most people give you a phone call. How can they get a hold of you?
Yeah, 402-213-3806.
That's Anthony with Anthony's Automotive and Detailing. If you have a custom car or just a vehicle that needs to be detailed, they'd love to talk to you. Give them a phone call. Stop by the shop, man. I really appreciate you doing this. Thanks for doing this today.
Hey, thank you.
This has been the Spotlight Omaha podcast brought to you by Pixel Fire Marketing and Pyramid Contractors. We'll be back tomorrow at 11 a.m. talking to a brand new business here in Omaha. We appreciate everybody that stopped by and liked the video today. Hopefully you can join us tomorrow in the morning. We'll see you tomorrow.